Ever been fired for doing everything right? This happened over 5 years ago. I was 17 and working at a large theme park, having spent most of the year there. I picked up the job quickly and was usually considered the responsible one when it was just a group of us teens running a ride. Our lead was a college intern who wasn't great at leading or training new hires. We'll call him M. My ride required at least 3 people to operate, one in the control booth, one at the entrance, and one at the exit. On very busy days, we could add a 4th or 5th person to help manage the line. The control booth and entrance couldn't see the exit directly, so we used radios. There was also a camera on the exit gate, and from day one, we were taught hand signals to use if the radios failed or for quick communication. These signals were standard across the park. That summer, 3 freshly certified employees started the ride with someone locked inside the fence instead of in a seat. Twice it was another employee, and once it was a guest. The control booth staff didn't notice until someone screamed at them to hit the emergency stop. The new hires were retrained or moved to simpler rides afterward. One very busy day, 5 of us were running the ride. Me, M, and 3 others. M got called to another ride, which normally wasn't a problem. About an hour later, someone was scheduled to leave, but M hadn't returned. I called the other ride to send him back. We could have operated the ride with 3 people, but it was very busy and we needed a 4th. Minutes later, another person, someone not our lead, was sent over. It was strange, but not a big deal. An hour later, someone else needed to leave, so I called again for M. By then, all the radios were dead or dying. Since things had slowed down slightly, I, as the spare 4th person, took the radios to the office to get fresh batteries. This took less than 10 minutes. In the meantime, the team switched to hand signals as we had been trained. When I returned, our lead had once again sent someone else to take his place. At that point, I realized M was probably just hanging out in the air-conditioned booth at the other ride. The person sent over was normally on a roller coaster and hadn't worked on this ride in over a month. I gave him a quick rundown and he took control. I turned away for maybe 30 seconds and then I heard yelling. The ride had stopped a few feet off the ground and the entrance person was locked in the fence. The new operator immediately hit the emergency stop, something the earlier summer incidents never thought to do. We had to call upper management. M ran over along with one of the higher-ups. They pulled each of us aside, interrogated us, then walked away to talk for half an hour. They fired the operator on the spot and came up with excuses to remove the rest of us from running rides. It was clear they were making an example. I tried to call out M for shirking his duties, but as an anxious 17-year-old, it didn't have much impact. I was mostly upset that the poor guy who shouldn't have been there was fired. Management tried to blame me for taking the already dead radios to the office, claiming I removed communication devices and prevented the operator from knowing someone was outside the gate. Total nonsense. I had returned the radios before the incident. I assume M threw me under the bus for being in charge while he wasn't there. I explained that we had hand signals, but they didn't care. I refused to sign the paperwork admitting fault, stretching the fight over several days. With college starting soon, I didn't want to spend my last summer days cleaning bathrooms. They created a new rule. If a single radio battery was dying, we had to call a manager for a replacement, and if it failed, the ride had to close. Managers were busy and could take a long time to respond. The next day, my radio started dying. I called the manager twice, but when it finally failed, I shut down the ride. The line, which was over an hour long, was furious. I explained it was due to the radios. Minutes later, the manager arrived. I took the battery, and the ride reopened. After many complaints, management finally allowed us to use hand signals again. I never signed the paperwork, left for college, and coincidentally, M also went to the same school. I ran into him once, gave him a dirty look, and never saw him again. The next summer, I was rehired as a lead and finally got to do my job properly.